Hello everyone! Today we're going to take a quick look at the garden to see how everything is doing in August. We're going to do a fast garden tour today. We are actually about to fly to our little summer vacation. We're going to Brazil for my cousin's wedding, and we will actually be in Brazil when you see this. So we're going to start here with my green stalks, which are looking nice by this time, but they have been slightly neglected. We have been very busy this past couple weeks. These guys over here are in need of some pruning. I should have come and take some of the yellow leaves, but it's all right. It's gonna look okay for today. This one here, where I have most of the brassicas is still, and some of the beans that I sold in a previous video, it's doing nice. Some of the beans are growing not as fast as I wanted, as I said, but I have one here. There's another one down there that is kind of getting shaded right here. Oh, it's falling actually. And it's getting shaded by the zucchini and the peppers, and since it's been busy I haven't been really rotating the green stalk as much as I should, but it's alright, still doing okay. The zucchini is doing great, but just noticed something today. It kind of broke the stem, sort of bent over here and broke. So the plant is still alive, it's just bending over the pocket right now, and it's still growing. I have lots of flowers. There's even a nice female flower right here on this side. We can see the baby zucchini in there and a few male flowers, so maybe when we come back we have some zucchini, or maybe it'll be too big for us to eat, but that's all right. The kale is still doing well here. The broccoli that just grew itself back after the spring is doing good too. This one is quite impressive. It's so big. That's just grew from this little stump over here. I showed that on the previous garden tour with more detail, but all this new growth here just happened in this summer, which is pretty amazing. But it's making a little harder for me to turn this too because it's getting a little heavy. But this side over here we have our peppers. You can see there's lots of them. They're ripening. Look how nice it is, all these red ones. Those are the Brazilian variety called Dedo de Moça, which means lady's finger. And I'm going to harvest them all today right after the garden tour because they're ready to be picked, and I'm going to freeze them since we're traveling and I'm not going to have time to process them right away. Peppers freeze very well, whole or diced, so we are going to do that just right before we leave. I just harvested some tomatoes a couple days ago. I wonder if we still have any green ones. I don't think so, but we have baby ones. We have some that are just trying to set. I'm not sure if it's easy to see in the camera, but we got so hot that all of my flowers kind of dropped, but now maybe they will get a nice second flush for us. We produced a lot. You saw in the July garden tour, I harvested some, and I continued to harvest after that once they were ripening, so that's good. And up here we have a Scotch bonnet that I just realized I forgot to harvest. Kind of sad. They're actually, they're kind of drying out. I'm going to do an experiment this year. I'm going to harvest them and dehydrate them. We're just gonna dry it, make into a powder so I don't waste them, and then we're gonna use it through the winter. There's some more all the way in the back there. They happen really fast, the ripening. They were green for a while, now they're all red over there. And there's some other peppers growing around here. This is another Brazilian one called Malagueta. I can see setting lots of little ones. Back there I have a bunch of jalapenos. I'm gonna harvest some. They all kind of turned red already. It's hard to go around on the green stalk because this one is on the mover and I put all of these stakes in there, but back there's some more peppers too that need to be harvested. Here on this side the marigold is struggling a little bit. It's been here for pest control and to attract pollinators, and starting to fade off, so I'm just letting it go, and I'm gonna try to save seed from this because it looked so pretty when it was in full bloom and together with everything else. I love the orange color and the pop of color that it gave. So we're going to save seed, and it's very easy to save marigold seed actually. I'm gonna grab a little head to show you guys. So this is a dried seed head, so it starts like this is the flower and starts dying out like those guys, and eventually it gets all brown like this and dies. And at this stage, if you pick it and just open the pod like this, you see all of these nice mature seeds that could be replanted already. So That's a lot of seed in one pot, as you can see. I'm gonna put it in my hands. You can plant a lot of it, which is really cool. But I'm planning to share this with some of my friends and neighbors too, so I like to collect as much as I can from these two plants too, since it did so well for us here this year, and I can share with people locally to try to grow some for pest control as well. But overall, you know, the green stock is doing really well. I still have some peppers on this side, some basil that I'm letting it go to seed for the pollinators. And here on this bag, this one is actually in the ground, is a pepper that's kind of special because my friend Josa gave it to us. He said this is a Pimenta palmeira from his hometown in the Canarias, in the Canary Islands. He shared seeds with us first, and I had a hard time germinating mine, so he started one and was generous enough to give to me some. And look how big and beautiful it looks. It's been planted a little later than the other ones, but it's setting a lot of flowers, so I'm very excited to see how they look like when we come back from our trip. All right, and here on this side, things are also kind of slowing down a bit. It's been hot again, but I have some more basil, there's some more peppers. This one, my friend Josa also gave to me, but he didn't know the name of the varieties of those, but it's supposed to be a sweet long pepper. It's looking great. Haven't harvested any from them yet, but I'm sure they'll probably be red by the time we come back from our vacation, so I'm excited for that. The eggplants in here, the patio babies, they slowed down a bit, but they're setting a lot of new set of flowers, so hopefully we have some fruit when we come back too. The tomato up here, it's kind of struggling. It has lots of new tomatoes, but it's growing in a sort of weird way, and the fruit's really small now. They're all tiny because I stopped pruning. The zucchini in here, it's kind of getting powdery mildew, as you can see over here in the leaves, so I'm considering to just take it out before we travel, because you know how zucchini is too, it just matures so fast. And I'll probably just come back to giant zucchinis from this plant. I see some flowers in the middle over there, just setting, they're little, can't really see, but some new growth I meant. So it could keep going, but I'm debating if I should probably just take it out just right before we leave too. I'm thinking about that. Here we have tomatoes still looking okay. I gotta harvest a bunch to eat tonight before we leave too. They are doing really well here in this plant, even though they're slowing down to starting to look a little, you know, scraggly this time of the year. It's been too hot for them. Then I have a bunch of herbs in here. I have some shiso and basil, which we've been harvesting so much of. It's great, and it just keeps growing, so it's really good. Just noticed some volunteer lemon balm in here that probably fell from the green stalk up there, some seeds, so that's nice. And the strawberries, they're full of flowers again. And here on this green stalk's not looking the greatest, but I am not replanting on purpose. I collected a bunch of seeds from the pansies that are growing there, and I'm very happy about that. And then the plants are still alive. I just kind of trimmed it and was hoping that they will come back to life, and some of them are sending new growth, which is nice. So maybe we'll have some of these pansies or violas for the fall, and there's some herbs still growing there as well. And I decided to sow some radishes, so there's some radishes that'll probably be ready just by the time that we come back from Brazil. But I have a lot of volunteer parsley in this. See this big plant over here? So that was a parsley that is going to seed, and then some seed already dried and matured and fell in here, and now I have a bunch of baby parsley seedlings. You can see some of them still have the seed attached over here. And what I want to do is to transplant them into those empty pockets. So guys, I'm not planting intentionally other things in the green stalk, but I want to kind of plant what's already growing here. So when we come back and these seedlings are big and stronger, I plan to separate them and then fill up this green stalk empty pockets with the guys that are growing here already. And here we have our pear tree, which surprisingly is producing tons of pears this year. We have lots of pears, and some of them are already starting to ripen. We had a few of them falling, but we're not harvesting yet because we're gonna leave, but also because I noticed that lots of things are eating them, so I'm just gonna leave them there for the wildlife, maybe for the squirrels. If they eat my pears and don't eat the other stuff, I'm happy with that. Here on this bed, the dahlias are not looking as nice as I expected. It's been really hot and we had a lot of rain, and they're kind of struggling. They're not hasn't been a good year for dahlias for me this year. They're not performing to the best. They have so many buds, but not as many flowers as I wish. They're taking forever to open. I don't really know why. They stay, you know, this starts like this and goes to this stage, then to that stage, and then they open. But it seems like it's taking a really long time. This is, since I filmed the last garden tour in July, I just did one harvest in here, and that's how much I have. So it's been a very, very slow year for dahlias. And here in the edge, I just have a few things in the pots that are not very different than from the last garden tour also. So now we're just going to take a walk to the plot, and I'm going to show you how everything's looking there. Alright, so here we are at the plot, and things are looking not as nice here. I have come here and I did a lot of cleanup because, you know, we're traveling, and I did a lot of weeding, but it still has a lot of work to be done. But you know, by this time of the year in August, we all kind of get a little tired. But I'm gonna show you guys how it's looking at this moment. I have actually, believe it or not, pruned the grapevine. It was coming all the way here, falling to the floor, getting some over there, so I decided to at least prune this area a little bit. There's some still in here, so then we can walk to the plot without having to heat all of those vines, and that's fine. And then the fig tree also, I took some branches that are very low, and every time I would walk in here to do some work, I hit my head on them, and I left some that are still quite low. I could have taken this one off, but it had fruit in them, so the ones that had fruit I felt bad, but the other ones I didn't. I just pruned a little bit to try to tame it a little bit as well, so it's okay for us to just get into the plot. And I also cut the yarrow a little bit here, so we can also walk a little easily. This thing was taking over, almost falling all the way there, so just wanted to tame it a little bit more. And here, I think there's a lot of growth in the sunflowers compared to when you guys saw it last on the July garden tour. You can still already see some buds kind of forming, and it's pretty exciting. Those pro-cut sunflowers just grow so fast. Those are mostly pro-cut plum and red, and we're going to be using this for cut flowers just when I come back from Brazil, so make some nice bouquets out of them. And here, still kind of looking the same. The bronze fennel is kind of going crazy. I have taken out even some more of the floret zinnias in here, but I left some for seed saving, and you can see that this one is very pretty. This is the unicorn variety, the unicorn mix, and I really like this color. I didn't at first, to be honest, but it grew on me. So here you can see there's an older bloom that has already faded and it's looking kind of brown, and I tagged it. So I put a little tag in here because I'm going to save seed from this one when I come back from Brazil. If those don't get damaged by birds or anything, I might take some from these as well because they're so pretty, and I want to make sure I try to grow some again next year. Same here with this. This was a beautiful orange one. I don't have any fresh ones blooming because the plant's kind of suffering with powdery mildew. I might actually cut this off today, just leave this one be. I just need these seeds to mature so I can plant again next year and we'll see what happens. There's a couple more here that didn't die yet, and I'm gonna see. We'll leave it be and see how they're gonna look when I come back from Brazil. And we have this really pretty sunflower here, which I forgot the name, but it's a branching plum variety. So it looks like the pro-cut plum, but it's not that. It's a branching one. It's a different one that I actually got from Floret last year. She's not selling those seeds anymore, only her own varieties at the moment. And I don't know what the pack is, so I might not know how that is going to be called, but I want to save seeds from this one as well. It's not an F1 hybrid, it's a heirloom, so hopefully you'll come kind of true to type, because I love the way it's branching, and branches which with such long stems. I've got a couple to put in an arrangement at home, and it lasted for over a week in the vase there, so I'm super impressed with the performance. So I love to save seeds from this, so I also tagged it, and I'm just gonna hope that the birds don't eat this one because they love eating the sunflower head. So we'll see what happens when we come back from vacation. There's another one here that you might get cross-pollinated with. This flower doesn't look very impressive right now, but the first flower that came from this plant was gorgeous. It was a fully double teddy bear sunflower, this lemon color. I believe I did show that on the last garden tour, so you can check that out to see. And if they kind of cross and make something new, even better. That would be really cool to watch next year to see what kind of flowers I'm gonna get from these seeds. Here we have the peppers. They have actually significantly slowed down. They're not producing as much as they did in the first month. They were pumping peppers like crazy, but now I see that they have new flowers. So we don't have a lot of peppers that are mature. There's some little ones here and there, but there's lots of new flowers in here. So hopefully we'll get a nice new flush by the time we come back, or even a little later, because it takes a little longer to mature. But the plants are looking healthy. It's been kind of hot. I've been watering, even though it looks so dry down there, but I think they're gonna be okay. Hopefully they do fine in the 2 weeks they're not going to be here. And the tomatoes the same. They slowed down and they're looking yellow and kind of succumbing to disease. So I don't know, there's some new growth on the top. I don't see a lot of flowers, but time will decide what's gonna happen to this when we come back from vacation. And we, here in the arch, we finally have it filled. Even though the squashes are looking very healthy out there, the beans are looking nice. And we have some long beans growing. I have a bigger one here. This is how they're gonna look. This is actually ready to be picked. I like to pick at this stage before it gets too big and bumpy that you can see the beans. So this is great. I just cut it like about this inch and this size, a couple inches, and saute to put in soups. It's very, very good. And this, actually, the dark one holds the color when it's cooked, which is cool, because a lot of the purple ones, when you cook, they lose their color and turn green. And we have our honey nut squash that's been protected. It's turning orange. Still has a lot more time to go on this one, but it's pretty exciting that we're gonna get at least one squash from this plant. And the plant's not looking very healthy anymore, so I'm not sure if you're gonna get anything else, but I'm be happy to harvest this one. These beans here, they are the scarlet runner beans. They have the red flowers. They're looking very pretty in the last garden tour. I don't see a lot of beans setting here, even though the flowers have faded. So I don't know if they're being eaten by something or what's happening, but I don't see a lot of beans setting on this plant. But it looks nice covering the arches in here. The rudbeckia here is at the end of its life. I also have a couple tagged because I'm also going to try to save seed from this. And the birds also like eating the seed, so I'll leave that in there for them. The lemon verbena got huge. It's struggling a bit. It's getting some yellow leaves. I'm not sure if it's chlorosis, if it needs to be, some iron. I did fertilize, but nothing really changed. She grew a lot, but the leaves are still kind of little yellow, so I don't know what's happening. I trimmed a lot of stuff that were here. I did a lot of weeding, so it looks a little bare. But these coreopsis I'm leaving here to self-seed. Same with the rudbeckias back there. They're faded, the past their prime, but I want them to all self-seed and have some beautiful flowers again there next year. Behind here I have the eggplant, which is still producing a lot, but there's tons of baby eggplants at this moment. And some more here. The fairy tale is incredible. This is the one really producing a lot. There's a lot of little ones on that, starting to get sick. I think it's having some yellow leaves. I'm not sure what it is, some dots and stuff in there, so we'll see what happens when we come back. Mostly I have a lot of these long light purple ones. Some of the long dark black ones are setting some new fruit now. It set a few in the beginning and kind of slowed down, and now it's kind of coming again, which is cool. So I'll see how big those are gonna go when we come back. But my friend that's coming here to help me watering while we're gone, I told her she can harvest whatever she wants, so maybe she'll be able to harvest them too, and you won't see them when I come back, but that's all right. Here we have some okra. Okra did not do great this year. All the other plants kind of died, so I took that out, and this one is the lone survivor that's doing okay. So we'll see how she's gonna do in the next couple of weeks too. The marigold back here is actually also struggling, but I'll leave it in there and see if it will pick itself back up for the fall. And here is the eggplant that my friend gave me from Cornell for the trial, and look how cute those guys look. I think they're gonna stay green, and I'm not sure how much bigger they're gonna grow, but super cute. I love this. It looks like kind of the Thai eggplant to me, but those are African. They're from the African diaspora, so the plant's really tall and vigorous. It took a little longer to fruit compared to those, but it's much taller than them now. It's producing a lot of fruit, so it's very cool. And their flowers are all white, which is interesting too, because most of my other eggplant flowers are all purple. So that's just interesting to see. But I love these clusters too. You see, it's almost like tomatoes. They have a little cluster of eggplants in there. Super curious to see how this is gonna grow. This one here is also from a trial from Cornell, and there's a different variety, but you can see there's a eggplant kind of growing here. It doesn't have the cool white markings that the other one has, but I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out too. I'm gonna go ahead and just take out this diseased leaves. You know, every time I walk around it's good to do a little cleaning. I did weed yesterday, but I got tired. You can see this part over here I didn't get to do it, and it's kind of messy, so we're gonna skip that and we're gonna move to this side. I weeded back here too. This is our native pollinator habitat, and I am completely in love with these little rudbeckias in here. So those are the black-eyed Susans, the more common rudbeckia, and these varieties called Rudbeckia triloba, and they're so pretty. I love how little the petals are and how they kind of spray, you know. So I decided to actually save seeds from this. I have a little tag on this also, so when I come back I'll save some seed and grow some more, because I did have a hard time germinating them. I used the whole pack. I don't know how many seeds were in there, 50, and only 6 germinated. So I want to make sure I collect enough seeds from them again, because I don't have any at this moment, and I love to grow them again in different locations. They are perennials, so they should come back next year, but I also like to spread them out around the garden a little bit more. The milkweed there is looking fine. We already had flowers and some seed pods, and the seeds probably fell in there. Hopefully we have even more plants next year. Oops, there was a bee in there that I touched it by accident. Sorry, little bee. And back there I have some echinacea. They're completely dead. They got too shaded and can barely see them anymore. This is the bee balm, the monarda, that got completely taken over by powdery mildew, but it formed all these seed heads in there, so I'm letting it be too. Maybe it'll self-seed and spread a little more towards the garden next year. I don't know, but I'm not taking them out of there. I'm gonna leave it, let it be until the end of the season. And here I have my tiny little dahlia patch with my leftover dahlias from my front yard that I couldn't fit. And I have these gorgeous peaches and cream in here that are probably one of my favorites again this year, even though she's not a unicorn anymore. They're rare dahlias, but I just love how the colors change. I showed that in the last garden tour too. She was blooming in my backyard. I have another plant here, but I think it's easier to see now. You can see that gets orange and pink and some fades to this like cream white. It's just so pretty. I really, really like that one. And here I have the Marn dahlia, which was my original dahlia, first dahlia I ever grew and fell in love with. So this is from that first tuber still that I think I saved from, or maybe not, I actually lost that tuber, but I bought it again and grew last year, saved the tuber from last year and grew again this year. And it's a simple dahlia, but it was my first one and I really like it. And my favorite color is orange, so I'm still probably always going to try to grow that one. This one here lost a tag. I don't know what it is. It hasn't bloomed yet. This here is called Linda's Baby. Not blooming very well. It's not looking super healthy. The plant's having its leaves a little distorted and it's a little short and has this weird center in here looking black already. But it's supposed to be a nice pink and cream dahlia. It was very beautiful last year. I used a lot of it on my bridal bouquet and I loved it, but it's not doing well this year for some reason, sadly. And this one here, I also don't know what it is. It's looking like it's gonna be white, so maybe when it opens I will be able to recognize it, but so far you can just see this little bit in here. And here we have the straw flower patch, which didn't do very good this year, but we're letting it be. I am going to save seeds from this one, just from this color. If it mixes up with the other ones are fine, but I'm just gonna try to save from this because I do tend to like more of the coral orange stones more than the white pinkish tones there in the other. But if they mix it up, I'll be curious to see what kind of straw flower will come up from them next year. So this is probably gonna look like this for the next few weeks too. The Gomphrena is looking okay. It's super tiny compared, I just went to Chris, if you guys watched Chris garden tours, and his was just so big and had so much more branches. Those are okay. They're small. Maybe they're being shaded by other things, but we'll try again next year. See, this one is taller actually. This is more like the size his was, and he was blooming a lot more. So there's not a lot of flowers on this one yet out. They will look more like this once they mature, but this plant's tiny, so we'll see what's gonna happen to them. And here I have my towering Thai basil. That's huge. We talked about it in the Chris garden tours too, that his was not doing well, but mine is going crazy. It's really, really nice and tall, and I've been harvesting from it, believe it or not, and it just keeps, you know, shooting and sending some more growth. So it's looking nice. I'm very happy. I actually now am hoping that it goes to flower so I can save some seeds from this. So let it be in here and see what happens too. And we have a squash here in front of it that I was getting a lot of powdery mildew, and I cleaned a lot of leaves out of it. You can see here that it's missing lots of its leaves. It's hard for us with powdery mildew here. So humid. You got enough zinnias back there. Now it's coming to the squash, but it is what it is. We'll see what's going to happen to this plant while we are gone as well. There are a few sunflower plants in there that my friend Aubrey also planted when we planted the ones on that side over there in the beginning that you saw. And we planted a lot more, but these ones didn't germinate as well. I wonder if some birds got to them and some rodents, I don't know. But there's only 4 sunflowers left on this patch over here, and that's basically it. I guess we can talk a little bit more about this trellis that's also starting to get taken over by the beanies. This is also a noodle bean, a long green bean, but this one's going to be green, I think, or a mixture of green and red. I can't remember right now, but there's no flowers on them yet, but hopefully they'll be flowering soon and producing lots of beans for us. Also, maybe you can wait a little more and then wait for us to come back from vacation. That would be nice. But that's mostly it for today. Just a speedy, quick garden tour so you guys can see how things are looking now in August. But that's mostly it for today. When we come back from vacation, I'll film another garden tour, show you guys the updates for September, and hopefully the garden's still going to be doing well by then. So thank you so much for watching. If you are curious to see how the garden was looking in July, I'm going to link a video right over here that you can watch next. So thank you again. I hope your gardens are doing well by this time of the year, and I'll see you next time.